Hi there and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. This is Anita. Today we're trying something entirely different lighting wise, which already I don't like it, but this video, my God. In the last time when I made that offer and I told people like I had the giveaway and I said, tell me how many times it took for me to make one video. This video has taken me this is like my 8th or 9th try. Something with audio, there's lighting. I don't know what's going on. Maybe the other side of the mirror is cursed because that's what we're going into. Stevie Nicks' 1989 Other Side of the Mirror. I'm doing the singles and I'm doing the LPs. I've been really vocal about this. So of course, all the videos I've made, which I don't really rehearse them or anything like that, have been kind of on the longer side. And as such, it just seems to me like the first video that I made, the vocal ran out like halfway through. I don't know how to edit anything, so I'm not going to try and recut and paste anything. I'll just make a whole new video. And then I just kept trying over and over again. And again, of course, they're the longer videos. But other side of the mirror, I have opinions. I have feelings. Starting with the shirt. I got the shirt at the show, 1989. It's very important to me because it is my first Stevie show. So Other Side of the Mirror is very special to me. It's also special because the Loma Prieta, I lived in Santa Cruz, California, and the Loma Prieta earthquake happened October 17th, 1989. And the ticket stub that I have for Stevie Nicks shows that she was at the Shoreline October 22nd, 1989. Now, I don't know if you remember, I don't remember if she showed up that day or she postponed it a day or two. I thought she had, but all I do know is that I wasn't driving at the time, and I'm a teenager, and the only way for me to get there was for my father to loan my friend who's driving, who's the same age as me, so brand new driver pretty much, his car, and my dad is a real stickler about things like that. We had to take an alternate route, which was just as windy to get over than Highway 17, which is a highway between Santa Cruz and San Jose, California, that's super windy and considered very dangerous. I don't think it is because I've traveled it so often. But the alternate route to get over, while there's still aftershocks, no less, was really kind of a treacherous drive. And, just two young ladies going over. I'm shocked we made it. And I'm shocked that Stevie Nicks did show up. It stopped the World Series, which I think was going on, baseball or something, or it's not the World Series, but something. Was it that something? I don't know, baseball. But yeah, so there's just a lot to the other side of the mirror, and yeah. So again, I guess I go off on these tangents on the video. Which I try not to because the video that precedes this one, LP-wise, I keep making a joke about that too. I haven't put that up for an air date yet. And I don't know if I should just go back and fix that one too because, my God, that goes off on. But I keep it there because it's kind of a part of me and I kind of find that humorous in itself. So let's try and get into it this time. Stevie Nicks' Other Side of the Mirror. I'm going to start with the Reflections from the Other Side of the Mirror, which is a beautiful, really cool piece to have, which I say all the time, right? And I'm trying to be more sensible because I'm rounding out the records. We're not done by any means, but we're kind of getting closer to, being through all the record parts that I have, that I was, say, 3 or 4 videos ago. This is something where if you had all the standard LPs and you had Other Side of the Mirror and you like Other Side of the Mirror, this would be a good little companion piece. Like, you don't want the singles, you want something collectible and kind of neat in your collection. This would be a cool piece. Or if you're like me and you want every single damn thing in the Stevie Nicks Fleetwood Mac repertoire, you'll want to get this. This was a promo item released prior to the album. On it, she is asked, it's an interview where one side is the questions and answers. So it's like somebody's asking her the questions and she's answering them. Or on the other side, there's just the answers. So you could sit at home or more likely on a radio station and pretend that you are interviewing her and she's right there in the studio with you. Inside that item is a letter about what this is about, what the interview is about, the people who put it together, and then there's a cool little, how many pages is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, about a 4-page little script that shows her the questions that get asked and then the first line of her answers. So like I said, if you are a radio host, you could do it in your own voice, or you could just put the record on with a pre-recorded person who interviewed her. So really nice little piece to have. I'm very fortunate to have the enclosed letters. I think pretty much any copy I've ever gotten has these, because they were issued to radio stations and it was pivotal information, maybe not the letter. But yeah, I don't think it should be so hard to find that without the paperwork inside. Album is just pretty standard paper sleeve and the Modern Records label. So that prefaces all Other Side of the Mirror stuff, which I think is a really cool beginner point. So there's that. So we're going to start off with the first single. And the first single I have is, I don't have any American issue singles on vinyl, 12-inch vinyl. And I'm curious now to go on Discogs, and I keep meaning to do that in the 1,000 times it's taken me to make this video. I digress. UK vinyl. Slip sleeve. Real thin sleeve. Rooms on Fire backed with Alice from the album, and Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You from the Live at Red Rocks recording. Another thing I want to bring up when we get to the vinyl, but I'll start here now so I don't go off too crazy on it. The song Alice, the album is dedicated to Alice, and which is a really neat focal point, and will come in as a neat story later. Alice is Stevie Nicks' grandmother on her mother's side. And I find it interesting when I get to the album and I read the little back blurb, because we always hear about Stevie's family. We always hear about Jess Nicks, which is Stevie's grandfather on her father's side. And the reason I also bring it up is because I came into some items that are in my scrapbook that really show a lot more about Barbara's side of the family, her mother, her father, and her grandmother and stuff like that, which is really interesting, including some family photos and stuff like that, which I just can't wait to share. Some really unique and cool stuff. So yeah, it was always interesting that this was for Alice on the album, when, for so many years we always heard about Jess. So back to the album, it's just the standard black UK label. Now, also out of the UK was virtually the same thing, but same label, everything's the same. But this record, the sleeve, was just kind of a folded up piece of paper. And when you purchased it, the album would have just been stuck here. Same thing on the B side. But instead, what it creates is there's the front and the back. Sorry again, it's this lighting. I'm just trying different. I think this will be the only time I have lighting like this. And then there is this incredibly beautiful large poster. And then on the other side, it's a little bit of a smaller poster. Very big. Very lovely. And then, like I said, it's smaller because that's the front and the back. So it's kind of hard to find these because obviously people would have put this up. I would have And if I had this in 1989, I absolutely would have had this all over my wall. So probably a lot of the records that you find, the poster's been separated from the vinyl. Not that they're not out there. I'm just saying it seems easier to find this one, the sleeve and the vinyl, than this one with the poster. So there's that. Out of Australasia, which I think I'm saying it right, which I figured out this time, was a combination of it's encompassing Australia, New Zealand, sometimes New Guinea, and other small islands around there. And I just never put that together. And I also never had noticed that the back of my record said that. When I'd be looking on Discogs, I would just put Australia and probably just second glance looked at that and not that, it was saying Australasia all this time. I don't know why. But this one is exactly the same as the UK. Again, a slip sleeve, real thin sleeve. Everything's still on the front and the back. I think the label is, I want to say this one is Parlophone, maybe. Yep. So that's the only difference, this mark here. And that it says what it says on the back. So there's that one. Then we have from Italy. Everything's the same, slip sleeve. Little bit thicker, a little bit more cardboard than paper feeling, and the label has difference. Moving on to Long Way to Go, the next single after Rooms on Fire, sorry. And we have the Australasia, one of this. Paper sleeve. I noticed I don't think it's this one, yeah. This one needs some work. I need to re-glue that down. Oh yeah, the yellow label. I think it is on this. So I have a couple copies of this, and what I noticed on this one is that it just caught it, which the regular light didn't. So this is pretty kind of textured, but this part right here, you can see is real shiny and a whole different feeling, as is her name. It's kind of in that shinier. So it's part glossy, part matte. Really nice. This is out of England or UK. And it is the Long Way to Go gatefold. These two beautiful photos inside. The back. So we had Long Way to Go Remix, Long Way to Go 7-inch version, and Real Tears, which is real nice. And the standard black label. Now, what was funny, and I kept bringing up in the video, is that I have another one, and it's the damnedest thing, because if you've gotten to know me at all in any of my videos, it's sealed. Where'd it go? Here. But it has this one that's the only difference on the back. And because it's sealed, I won't open it. I'm confident it's the same thing, but I can't feel like a ridge. So I don't know if that's printed on the back or if it is just a sticker. But because it's a sticker and because it's one little thing different, I'm keeping them both. They're both different in my eyes. And I won't crack this one open to see if it's different. I'm just keeping it as it is because, yeah. So I don't care. You can judge me in the comments. No, I'm just kidding. You can actually. I don't care. Let me know if you have, if there's two different. If anybody has two different, if they notice. I mean, sometimes they'll say UK and Europe, or I think I showed. It's either in here or one I showed not too long ago. One was UK and one was England, which, I just kind of group those. I know they're different, but I'm just saying. And so yeah, so like this one says England, as you saw on that sticker on the back, but this one says the UK. So maybe it's these two. And this one is just the paper, the slip sleeve, and same label as the gatefold, but just one is gatefold and one is not. So next up we have the Whole Lot of Trouble, also from Australasia. I'm gonna be caught up on that forever. I think I like this one because of the swirling. I like they put the nice pretty font on this one too. It was so funny. I was mentioning again in the 30 times it's taken me. Notice the number keeps getting bigger, like the fish. When I keep talking about my woes and making this video, I kept having this with my trouble with my time space items because Whole Lot of Trouble was such a part of. I mean, it was the name of the tour and stuff. And I think in my 45s, I might have had it with time space. I don't remember. I just know that for some reason, sometimes it's filed with Other Side of the Mirror where it's supposed to be, and other times I find it filed with time space where it's not supposed to be. I don't know why that happens in my brain, but it does. Lastly, we have the Two Kinds of Love, which should have been earlier, but Germany. Now, this one I will speak out a little bit more on. It is freaking perfect shape. And I brought this up with the 45 and the 3-inch CD. The 3-inch CD, the 45, and this version, all from Germany, same photo, very hard to come by. And what's also difficult is finding this or the 7-inch without ring wear. That whole, which is, I don't know if it's a certain kind of paper, the ink, that it's from Germany. I don't know. I have no idea. But both the 45 and this one, it took me a few copies to get a nice version. And I'm not a stickler for like needing a perfect version. Sometimes I kind of like them and I don't care if they're that messed up because it's kind of part of the story where it's been, who had it first. I don't know. It just doesn't matter to me. I'm grateful to have the 45. But there's certain ones that are kind of rarer and I like having a cleaner, nicer version. So I've upgraded this one, and this one is damn near immaculate. So I just can't even actually find a flaw currently. It's got the nice spine. It's got no wear on the spine, no dings. Yeah, it's pretty flawless. So very grateful to have this. And the label. And again, this is Two Kinds of Love with Real Tears. So that great B-side and Ooh My Love. So this is a great little 3-part record. It's not only a beautiful release, but it's, just a cool set of songs to listen to. So that is it for the 12-inch singles coming out prior and during as the release was released. So moving on to the LPs themselves. So the first one I have is the American release. And again, here I'll show that the album is dedicated to Alice, in parentheses, Wonderland, my grandmother, the Queen of Hearts. And also part of why my video goes so long is I will again, as I mentioned with the 45s, bring up this cover. Now, listen, Linda. I've talked about how what I think, in my personal opinion, and again, it's changed every time I made a video. I change up what I'm saying about it. When we used to get records, if you're my age and that's all you were collecting and have had for so many years, you can't help but kind of judge a book by its cover. And when you got the record, the image that was on the front, of course, strikes you. It catches your, your attention, whether you're a fan and you're seeking it or you're just browsing for records one day. And it's what kind of guides you into what gets put on the turntable and what introduces you to all the songs that are coming about. Now, I've always felt that this picture on the back, the glare, I'm so sorry. I can't win. This picture on the back looks to me like Alice dreaming of Wonderland, dreaming of being on the other side of the mirror, kind of daydreaming, kind of, dancing to swaying to the music, and just kind of as a lead in, and this strikes me as would have been the better choice for the front cover. This one, whereas I don't hate the photo, when I made my first video, I'm like, I don't like this photo at all. That's not true. I like this photo. It's very different. It's kind of a feisty Nicks. And that's fine because she was kind of in a feisty place, kind of a rough, but it just doesn't, it makes me question the photo and the interesting choice more than going into the songs with that image, if that makes any sense. I really can't word it anyway. And every time I try to, it's not a bad thing at all. I'm just wondering if anybody else is like me, if you take that with you, if you, again, you see the picture and of course you're going to notice it, but that's what you're going to lead into the music with. It's just this, you'll be thinking about that picture and her singing it, her being in concert, or I don't know, a thousand different things. I love the dress. I love the style, but just, it's a weird pose. I love the checkerboard. That immediately gives me the other side of the mirror and how the title looks like it has the mirror effect. But yeah, and then you break into the inside of it, and you got yet another great photo that would have been a great cover. This looks like a narrator. Like, if this picture had been the front cover, this is the person narrating the story to me. This kind of gives that kind of image. This also, maybe not the cover, but I love this photo. Sharon and Lori look freaking gorgeous. They all look great, but I love this picture of the girls. But yeah, this gives a different vibe. Each one of them gives collectively they create a great vibe altogether. But individually, if you were to take one and separate them. So that is just my take on it. The last thing that is in the American and most all versions is a lyric sheet, a lyric and thank yous, credit sheet. And this is a very, this is actually, it looks pink, but it's a really super pale, almost like a carnation red. The red here is almost as red as the cover, but some other issues, this seems to be a little bit darker in color, a little bit more darker red. So that is my 2 cents on the album cover. Next up, we have another one that what's that you say? The only difference is it's got the sticker, which again indicates that this is a promo copy, which it is, but it just shows promo on the jacket, nowhere on the media. So is it a promo? I have it listed as such on my Discogs, but again, it really just says promo on the jacket. So we've discussed that. Everything inside is the same paper sleeve, same lyric sheet, and exact same media. Next up, we have Mexico. This one is a really cool copy. The differences are this little thing on the front cover, on the back cover, and that we have the song titles in English and Spanish. The cover has a little bit of a texture to it, and the sleeve is definitely different color. And the matches more this label from Mexico. Next up, we have the Other Side of the Mirror UK. Now, this one is the one I'm going to talk about the most. This one is the one with the hologram. So I have a bit of a story for you of the hologram, and let's try and keep this simple because I've tried every time I make a video. First of all, the insert is definitely a thicker cardboard. It is a nicer put together, a nicer quality. It's not a limited edition. I mean, it came out right at the same time. Did it come out later? To my knowledge, I can't see that it came out any later. It was just an option. You could buy this one or the regular. But funny enough, it's a nicer quality than the regular one. So it doesn't just come with the hologram, but everything is nicer. And as I stated before, this seems a little bit more of a darker type red. I don't even know if you can tell just in the terrible lighting I'm giving you, but already there's kind of a difference. And inside would have been not just the hologram, which I'll show you in a second, but there's this really cool little thing to mail away, which I just love having all this inside the record, to mail away for this flimsy little piece of plastic, or so I've heard, that you would put the hologram into, and it provided a light so that you could really catch the way the hologram shifted. I would die to have this. I have the hologram, which I'm about to show you in a second, and I'm really grateful to have this within the record, but I never got this stupid little piece of plastic, and I would really like to have it. I've never seen it on eBay, nothing. But yeah, I've heard it's real flimsy and stupid, but it would just be cool to have. Every time I talk about it, I ask if people have it in their collection, if they sent away for it. Did you get rid of this card, or did you make a copy and keep this card? How did you do it? Do you still have it? I'm just really curious to know, do you still have it stored? You know, do you have it displayed as it's shown here? I just feel really interested because this is a cool little piece unto itself, just the mail away card with all the information. But pertaining to the hologram, this is a hologram that came with the record. Now, this is about 3 inches. Oh my God. Every other video's had better lighting for this, so this is really difficult. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm just not doing well with this one. So, as best I can, this is about, like I said, maybe about 3 inches, okay? The one that came with the LP and the cassette is about this big. Maybe a little bit. So maybe 1.5, 2 inches. Not quite half, but yeah. So some time ago, I had a friend who I brought up several times. We are no longer friends, but she lived in Germany. Freaking awesome Stevie Nicks fan. Though we had a horrible falling out, I love her dearly. I have nothing but nice things to say about her, and everything I'll bring up, because I'll bring her up often, because she was an integral part of my collection and my journey in Stevie Nicks. But anyway, she met somebody somehow, or got in touch with somebody who had a bunch of these holograms, and the person had them in all different sizes. I never understood if it was the person who created them, or just like a factory storeroom and they just have these boxes, or what. But what they had within those boxes that she obtained a lot of them, were a bunch of different sizes. And many of them were like this size. Like this one is about 5 by 5. This one I had professionally framed, and I love green, especially this kind of peridot olive. I love this shade of green, spring green, whatever you want to call it. I call it peridot because that's my birthstone. And I wanted it to bring out the green, catch the light, you know. So anyway, the cool thing about holograms also is that no two are identical. They just aren't. They just aren't going to catch the light. It's how the paper is made. It's how the paper is cut. So I heard and learned. So even though it's a similar, thing, and even these look different right here. I mean, it almost looks like two different pictures. When every time I've done this video, I'm like, wait a minute, are these two different? But they're not. And it's just because of how, when you turn them, you just got to catch each one right to catch it up with the other, But anyway, so there's this size, like I said, the smaller for the cassette and the CD. And then I have a couple different other sizes. One is kind of like about this wide and about this long. And then I also have one. It's going to be very difficult to show you, which looks like the same size as the frame one, but it is not. That is in my scrapbook here. And beneath the matting that you see, that black matting, is more of the foil. This one had a tiny bit of foil, and I asked them when they professionally framed it, I asked them to just wrap it around, and they suggested that I cut, and I'm talking like a real small line, and they suggested that we cut it. I just want to keep the integrity as much as possible, but cut it just so it fits, so nothing bent and nothing would kind of bubble up. They were right, but I'm like, don't do that, but they're correct. And the other interesting thing is that there's supposedly there is one that is somewhere in the range of 16 by 20 or 18 by 24. So that's like a poster size. I've never seen it except in a photo of it being displayed in a record store in the UK when the hologram stuff was out. I don't know who has it. To my knowledge, there is only one, and it is a unicorn. It would be the most amazing piece to have, but it is quite large. But like I said, I have other sizes. And when I get to the scrapbook stuff, I'll probably re-show and talk about these more, and because then I'll have all the other sizes. But I just kind of wanted to give you some insight into that because it's really pretty cool. They were kind of prevalent because my friend had sold some on eBay. Some she had traded. I've traded with people, sold some. So they were out there when they came out in 1989. They were kind of out there again about 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago. Now they've just really kind of disappeared again from eBay, and people who have them keep them as they should because they're really neat. But let me know if you have that whole little card and stuff like that. I'm really curious to know. So that is the UK other side of the mirror. Then, additionally, we have other side of the mirror, Europe, and both that one and this one have the same label, but it is kind of darker. Again, hard to tell in this awful light, but the red is much darker, the black is darker, and the white is almost that, I call it a darker white. I know that kind of doesn't make sense, but it is. It's just almost white to blue. And the only differences between the UK and this one that says Europe on the back is just some little nuances right here. And of course, this one doesn't have the big hologram. Everything on the inside is the same. Nearing the end, there's some couple really last cool pieces here, and then I think this will actually work out and be the shortest video, and I've got everything off my chest on the other side of the mirror, despite the lighting and everything. But this was one I found some time ago, and I was super excited. When I first found it, it was going for about $300-400, and I'm like, not a snowball's chance in hell. This one said to have been out of India. And the first thing I noticed is even it has a different vibe. Just being with this kind of like framed, the photo being framed, a little bit smaller, the difference in the lettering, the difference with their name up here. Even this kind of has a different intro to, like, if you had received this in whatever country it came from, and you received this and you're going into the music with this. This feels different for some reason. Is it just me? This is the back. I feel that it's real because I saw it on eBay first, and then I started looking at Discogs. And once upon a time, Discogs used to be that if some other people had an item, you could message them and either ask if they wanted to sell it or just say, hey, this is new to me or whatever. Kind of like, I guess, the term sliding into their DMs. But I tried reaching out to people to see if they'd sell me their copy, never got replies. But then also just asking if they had more information about it, because when I first found this, I had my claws in and I had to get a copy. And sure enough, I have seen more copies. If this were a bootleg or one of those ones that I fear, like a Tango of the Night one that I show, and you'll see in a video not too long ago, that Tango of the Night issue might have one other copy. I might see one more duplicate. This one, I've seen quite a handful. 6 people on Discogs say that they have it. 15 other people say they're looking for it. And that's a small number, but that's probably because not too many people have seen it. But I have seen a fair share now cross the path of eBay. I don't know what year it came out. When I did my first video, I pulled up my trusted ink just so that you could make fun of me. No, not make fun of me. Don't do that. But yet again, trying to see if there's any information I could find, and there is not. There is no province where it's from. Even the stuff on the runout matrix, I can't find any information on. But it all looks to have the correct licensing. I mean, down to the label, down to the stuff around the side, but there's no country, there's no date. Like I said, some people have said, I put mine is from India because that's when I first saw it. That's what it said it was from. Some people have put them from the Philippines. Some people say the Orient somewhere. Some people say the Netherlands. I don't know. But it has, EMD and his master's voice. I mean, that's all UK. I don't know. But it is a really cool item, and it's a really neat piece to have such a different cover and such a different label. So that's one of my favorite pieces. Wrapping things up, in 2000, I found out that a company called Simply Vinyl, which again, when I made the first video, I'm like, what is Simply Vinyl? And finally I looked it up and got the information. Simply Vinyl is just a company that reissues records, and in 2000, they decided to reissue Belladonna and Other Side of the Mirror out of freaking nowhere. All they did is put both issues, this is Simply Vinyl hologram sticker, on 180 milligram vinyl. So this was a 2000 reissue. She has got some weight to her. Everything inside is the same, other than, actually, let me rephrase that. There's no lyric sheet, and this is just one page. This isn't like a sleeve. I've asked in the video to let me know if there's a lyric sheet, which I kind of don't want to know, because if there is, I'm going to want to look for a whole nother copy to have it complete. But that's on me. Let me know if there's a lyric sheet. But it has the EMI label, and she girthy. This is a very heavy platter. And it does sound pretty good. I don't think it sounds better or worse, to be honest with you, but I'm not, as we discussed, I'm really not that person. But yeah, it's just 180 gram vinyl, which is supposed to have a bit of a superior sound. What's interesting is there's a little hole cut through it, which I don't know why, but that didn't affect the inner sleeve or the paper sleeve. So I'm not sure if this went on sale somewhere or what happened. But then come to find out, like I said, I knew about this, but then I found out that there was also issued the Belladonna, which I don't have and is pretty expensive. These are pretty pricey too. But what I want to bring up though is that, I kept making jokes in all the times I made these videos that if Rhino Records is watching, for the love of God, we need Rock a Little, Other Side of the Mirror, and Street Angel remastered, repackaged, deluxe edition. We're done, okay? We're super happy real pretty. All the belladonna issues were cool on Rumors. I'm okay with the Mirage and the Tango, and if you did Tusk and stuff, but come on, we really need the rest of Stevie's work. And I know you're all with me, and I know that if you're with me, if you haven't already, please email Rhino, and I'll help. If you need my help, I got you. We could just really use, and it shows that it's wanted, it's warranted. If this came out in 2000, it's pricey and it's hard to come by, meaning people, want this. Maybe just because it's simply vinyl, but I like to think more because they would like it, they would like it redone. They like this album, and certainly, Rock a Little definitely warrants, definitely bigger hits than this one, but Rooms on Fire really caught kind of a whole different audience, in my opinion. And, coming into the 90s, Street Angel, I understand that there's hesitation, but for the fans, we're dying for it. We are dying for a repackaging and redoing. And if you're going to do Rock a Little and Other Side of the Mirror, you're just going to do Street Angel. You're just gonna. So that was my personal plea and my 2 cents worth. And the last cool item I have for Other Side of the Mirror, 2000 issue, simply vinyl, really nice packaging. Like I said, super thick 180-gram vinyl. You can find this maybe, you're lucky if you find it in the $60, $75 range, which might be around what I paid for it. But Belladonna, she's in about 100 price range, which is unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Last but not least, and let's pray that this video came out despite everything else going on. This is a really cool item that came out, a 1989 show live at the Summit, consisting of bootleg of 7 songs, much like the Weed Sport one I showed in a couple videos back from Rock a Little. It seems that this company, which I'm pretty sure it's the same company, likes to put out 7 songs. Obviously not the entire show, but nice packaging, a somewhat uncirculated picture of Stevie. I have some more of this session, which way in the future when I get into Other Side of the Mirror scrapbooks will be really cool to see. This is the back, real pretty, and it sounds fantastic. It has a really good sound. I'll give it credit there. And this is kind of a heavy vinyl as well. And she's on the label. It's nice. It's nicely done, like the Weed Sport one was, but it is a bootleg. By the sticker, it appears to me that this came out in October of 2022, so it's a somewhat recent bootleg. And it still is about the same cost as when it came out. This looks like it was about $26, so somewhere in the, we could probably find them used now for like $15, $20. Not a big deal. For that, you might as well get it new, but it is a bootleg. So, but that rounds out my 1989 Stevie Other Side of the Mirror stuff. And yeah, we're still at about 45 minutes thereabouts, and every video has been about that long. I do apologize. I just thought it was best to get everything in one sitting. There's a little bit more on the single side to do one video, and then the LPs themselves would have been kind of short, so I just want to put it all together. And I like comparing them and such. And we're kind of coming around the bend with the LPs. We're certainly not done, but it kind of gets a little bit more sparse. And when I do wrap up, you guys might say, oh, there's a lot missing. There's going to be some tacked on videos, like doing the box sets. I'm going to do all that separately. I'm missing some things that, might have been like guest spots, like probably I'll have it mixed in correctly, but like her Stevie spot on the Elvis soundtrack or Gorillaz, that probably will be with records. But if I miss stuff like that prior, I'll probably make a video with all these outside sources type things. So that was it for this. I'm going to rewatch this and pray that this one came out and then fix my damn lighting again somehow. All I have a really small apartment, and everything is overhead, and that causes the glare. So bright, hot day out today. So I thought, let's use the natural light and a little bit of a ring light. And it worked, but not really. So, and let's really hope that my audio stayed put for the entire video. Thank you as always for joining me, putting up with my quirks, and I really hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. And yeah, let me know about the sheet, if it's in assembly vinyl, and if you have that little flimsy hologram thing, or any of the other holograms, or if you have that poster. Oh my God, I'd love to know you and just live vicariously through you if you have that poster. So thank you again so much. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you next time. Bye.